these illustrations, or do the illustrations of the story of Prahlad and Nrsimha. So she, along with Gorsundar, her husband at that time, produced 28 paintings. And she was a contemporary, I guess you would say, of Jadharani, who's a famous painter also. So she produced those paintings, and then she hung them in the temple. So the 28 paintings were hung all around our small storefront temple. And when I came in to see those paintings, it reminded me of being in an art gallery. Like, I had been very interested in Impressionist art and Surrealist art. So when I saw those paintings, I thought, this is an entire culture. I was very impressed. So of course I had seen Prabhupada do the marriage ceremony. I had seen the fire sacrifice, which was fascinating to me. And of course Prabhupada himself was fascinating, and all the devotees were fascinating. Prasadam was fascinating, but this was another aspect, the culture of Krishna consciousness. Beginning with the 4 brothers, the 4 Kumaras. These are sons of Brahma. So Brahma had these 4 sons. Brahma is the engineer of the creation. I guess everyone on the call knows. Who's on the call here? Yes, the 4 sons of Lord Brahma. Lord Vishnu lies down in the ocean of milk, and he creates. The first creation is Brahma. So Brahma is the first being in this world, but he's not just like an atom. He's not a human being. He's an immense, incredibly long-lived. He lives for billions of years, even some trillion years. So he is the top being in the universe, and from him everything is created. He takes all of the raw ingredients. He first meditates on Vishnu, then he takes all of the raw ingredients and he creates everything. So his first offspring are these 4 young boys that you see in the bottom left corner, the 4 Kumaras. So then they were born and they refused to propagate. The whole purpose of Brahma producing offspring, progeny, was propagation. So he wanted his first sons to propagate, to create this material world. They refused. They said, this is not good for our spiritual advancement. So they used to travel everywhere in the universe. Finally, at one point, they came to the spiritual realm, and then they wanted to enter that spiritual realm. And they were met with these 2 gate guards, Jai and Vijay. So Jai and Vijay refused them entrance. They said, your 4 boys can't come in here. This is the Vaikuntha. This is the place of Lord Vishnu. And so this Jai and Vijay didn't understand their elevated status. And they cursed the Jai and Vijay. They said, you're going to have to go into this material world. We curse you. And they all approached Lord Vishnu, or Lord Vishnu actually appeared before them. Jai Vijay said they realized their mistake. They said, oh, we're sorry, but now we've been cursed. So Lord Vishnu could have removed the curse, but he said, no, I want you to go into the material world, either as devotees or demons. So they chose demons for 3 lifetimes. So they entered in the material world. This shows them going into the different layers, the 7 layers into the material world. And they arrived in the hut of Kashyapa and his wife, Daityas. The Daityas are the demons. And the Duty, I'm sorry. Should be, anyway, they're Daityas, named after their mother. I've forgotten how to say her name now. So the Daityas are the demons, and the Aditi and Diti. Sorry, Diti is the mother of the Daityas, and the Aditi is the Adaityas. So the Adaityas are the Devas, and Kashyapa is the father of them all. So he was the father of the Daityas and the Adaityas. Interesting story. That's another tale. So this, I was going to explain this a little bit before I got to this picture, but the long story short is that there are two brothers, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. Means Hiranyaksha means golden eyes, Aksha means eye, Hiranyakashipu means soft bed or soft cushion. So Hiranyakashipu is attached to his comforts, and first Vishnu came to fight with Hiranyaksha. Hiranyaksha did some misdeed. We won't get into that, but Vishnu appeared as the Varaha, which is the boar incarnation, and he defeated Hiranyaksha. Well, Hiranyakashipu was very upset about that. So Vishnu became his enemy. Vishnu then became always Hiranyakashipu's enemy. So Hiranyakashipu decided to go on a long austerity to be able to defeat all the demigods. He knew that the devas, the demigods, were devotees of Vishnu. So he thought, I'm going to cut down the root of this Vishnu. I'm going to defeat all the devas. So first, his Shukracharya, his guru, advised him, well, you have to do some austerities. Well, what kind of austerities? I think you should stand on one foot and not eat anything for 100 years of the demigods, which is, for us, it's like tens of thousands of years. So Hiranyakashipu finally decided, okay, he's going to have to do this if he wants to become powerful. So he went away for this penance for many, many years, even of the devas. So the devas took the opportunity to come and defeat to claim the kingdom of Hiranyakashipu. So this picture shows after the defeat, they had an easy time of it because Hiranyakashipu wasn't there. So they defeated the kingdom easily. Everyone ran away, leaving Hiranyakashipu's wife, can't remember her name either, doesn't come to me quickly. So leaving her unprotected. So Indra, who you see here Indra's leading her away, and she was then made captive by Indra, who was the one who defeated. But here on the left, you see Narad Muni. Now, Narad didn't exactly like that she should be abused. So I'm going to show you another picture. I wrote a book called Prahlad. It's this particular story of Prahlad and Nrsimha. And this is one of the illustrations from my book. So it's a little different. The picture is a little different. So you see on the left is Indra. Now, Indra has all of these eyes all over his body. Again, that's another story. So he's getting ready to do away with this, I should know her name. It's on the tip of my tongue. On the lower right here, you see the wife.
Kayadu.
Kayadu, right?
Yeah, yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Kayadu. So he's getting ready to get rid of Kayadu. And you notice that she's protecting her belly because Prahlad is there. She's pregnant. Prahlad is in her belly, so in her womb. So then all of a sudden, here's Narad Muni up here, on the left, and he's putting out his hand. No, stop. He's telling Indra to stop, because first of all, he shouldn't be killing an innocent woman. But Indra said, no, I can see that she's pregnant. There's a great demon in there. So he wants to kill her. Narad Muni said, no, he's a devotee. She'll come with me. So let's go back here. So they go with Prahlad, with Narad Muni. Prahlad in the womb, along with Kayadu, goes with Narad Muni to his ashram. And they stay for many years while Hiranyakashipu is doing his austerity. And here we see Hiranyakashipu in the painting of Govinda, that for so many years he was standing there without eating, without even breathing, that just his life air was clinging to the skeleton. And he was standing so long that the insects, the ants were taking advantage of his immobile body, and they were eating away at his flesh, and they built their little castle around him, their anthill around him. In the upper left, you see Lord Brahma coming. So what happened was the Devas, they became upset because the austerity of Hiranyakashipu produced so much heat. This heat was coming out of his head. Now in Sanskrit, the word for austerity is tapa. Tapa. Tapa means heat. So true austerity produces heat, or it has some relation with heat. So this fire emanated from Hiranyakashipu's head, but that's okay. Fire was emanating from his head, but the austerity was so powerful that it was burning the universe. Through the entire universe. The oceans were boiling. It was incredible, and even the devas, demigods, were disturbed. So they went to Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma said, all right, I'll go and do something about this. So he went with his swan airplane, and the system is that if you do austerity, there has to be some reward. So here's Lord Brahma coming, and Hiranyakashipu is doing his austerity, and you see Lord Brahma is pouring water from his kumandalu onto the head of on the head of Nrsimha. I'm sorry, Hiranyakashipu. And this is bringing him back to life. Similar picture. Hiranyakashipu now his body has been restored, and he gives prayers to Lord Brahma. He says, Lord Brahma, I want some boons from you. Now, I've been doing all this austerity, and I wanted you to come so that you could give me boons. I want to be immortal. So Lord Brahma says, no, I can't make you immortal. He says, but what is that? Okay, here we are. He said that what I can do is I can give you a few things. So I can give you any other boon besides that, besides being immortal, because I myself am not immortal. So Hiranyakashipu thought he was going to be very clever. So he said that I don't want that my death should be caused by any being that you've created, and it should not be caused by a being that's not created by you. He thought he was going to get around, give all these sort of catch-22s, these paradoxical conditions. So he didn't want to die inside or outside of a residence, And he didn't want to die day or night, not on the ground or in the sky, not by weapon, human, animal, not by any living being or non-living being, not by any deva, asura, or celestial snake, naga. And he also requested not to have any rival in battle. He would be able to defeat anyone in battle. And finally, he said, give me lordship over all beings and even the devas. So Lord Brahma had to do this. He had to give his, grant these boons, because that's the universal system, that he had to obey this system, which is to offer, if somebody does austerity like that for materialistic reason, then I mean, we all know what they say, no pain, no gain. So if somebody goes into the gym and they do certain formula, then they get a big body. If they go to the university, they observe a certain formula, they get knowledge. So we know in this world, if you do austerity, you get some result. So this is the system, he got some result. Now here's a picture I had done of the fight between Indra on the right, riding his elephant, and Hiranyakashipu on the left. So there was a big fight in which Indra was defeated. Now he wasn't killed, he wasn't slain, but he was defeated. And here below you see all the devas fighting the asuras. But they were defeated. Hiranyakashipu took over the Indra's place in the celestial realm. So now enters Prahlad. So Hiranyakashipu was then reunited with his wife Kayadu, and his son was born. She waited the entire year, 800 years of the demigods to have her son. So when she was reunited with her husband Hiranyakashipu, she gave birth to her son Prahlad. Prahlad had some brothers and sisters. Prahlad was something like, I've forgotten their names, Singlad and Ahlad and different, like this, different, Sanglad, not Singlad, Sanglad. So 4 brothers and 1 sister. So here he's going to school. He was sent to school. Now these 2 gurus on the right, they're sons of the great Shukracharya. Shukracharya was the guru of all of the demons. Now we see that here they are in the schoolyard. All his school friends are playing in the back, but Prahlad is instructing his friends in the front. Now why was Prahlad doing that? Because when he was staying with Narad Muni, of course, is the great sage. Narad Muni travels all throughout the universe, and he's the greatest sage. He's in contact with Lord Vishnu also, with Krishna. So he's able to go and see Lord Vishnu, Krishna, and he can travel anywhere. He sometimes goes and travels to, and they say he even creates a little trouble, because sometimes he goes on one side. If there's a war, he'll go on one side, he'll go on the other side, and he talks to both sides. So Narad Muni was in his ashram, and he had Kayadu, Hiranyakashipu's wife, with him, but he was giving everyday Bhagavatam. He was giving instructions about Krishna Lila, Vishnu Lila. So Prahlad became a devotee of Vishnu, even inside the womb. So this is good instruction for any woman who is pregnant. If they hear the pastimes, if they hear Srimad Bhagavata Katha, while the child is in the womb, then the child will be benefited. So Prahlad was born. He was devotee of Vishnu. So when he came to school, even though it was a demon school and it was taught by the sons of Shukracharya, he used to teach about Vishnu. Now this was very dangerous because I mentioned before, Hiranyakashipu was the sworn enemy of Vishnu because Vishnu had killed his brother. And here we are. The teachers found out that Prahlad was teaching the other students about Vishnu, about Krishna consciousness. So they said, what is this? You can't be doing this. Your father will be very angry. Somehow or other, this contamination has come from the outside. He was just a boy. They couldn't understand how he could have learned these things. They just thought someone snuck in and taught him this. And he's innocent, but he somehow heard all these things. So they took him to his father, Hiranyakashipu. So here they are. They took him, Hiranyakashipu, and they said, your son is talking about these things with the other students, and we don't know where he's received these things. So Hiranyakashipu said, oh, my dear son, how is this? What's happening here? Why are you speaking about these things? And then Prahlad says, if somebody spends his life without searching for the higher purpose of life, for self-realization, that person should leave family and go to the forest and worship Vishnu. Oh, Hiranyakashipu became livid. He worship Vishnu. Where did this come? Where is this? How did this come upon you? This is horrible. Vishnu is my enemy. So he threw Prahlad off of his lap onto the floor. But Prahlad was unharmed. Then he took him to be attacked by various demons. Here you see that Prahlad was being attacked, but you see in the upper left-hand corner that Lord Krishna Vishnu is looking over him. He's protecting him. Next time, then he decided, okay, the demons are not working, so I'm going to have the elephants crush you. So he brought him to this huge elephant in Rath. Anybody who knows about elephants knows that when the male elephant goes in rut, it's his mating season. He goes crazy. So it didn't work with the elephant. The elephant all of a sudden realized that this is devotee of Lord Vishnu. Can't kill this person. So all right, so if not the elephants, then the snakes. The snakes also became enchanted by Prahlad Maharaj's chanting. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Constantly. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All right, so then throw him off the cliff. And here you see Lord Vishnu is protecting him by catching him while he's being thrown off the cliff. So Prahlad Maharaj was put into boiling oil. Still, that didn't work. He was protected by Vishnu. Snow and cold and ice didn't work. Wind didn't work. So finally, at the end, he was brought back to the palace. And Hiranyakashipu and his agents prepared poison, a poisonous meal. And it was given to his mother, Koyadu. So they thought, well, he'll eat this. If it's given to him by his mother, Koyadu, he's going to eat it and then he'll die from the poison. These other things that happened to him, it was some kind of magic trick. Whatever happened with the snakes and the cold and the wind and all these things, some kind of magic. But this is real. This poison is real. And this time it will affect him. So they told his mother to bring it. She was forced to do it. She didn't want to. So Prahlad offered the food to Vishnu, and Vishnu removed the poison. So then Prahlad was saved. So Hiranyakashipu became then extremely frustrated with this situation. He said, what to do? So his schoolmasters, I forgot now, Amara and something. So the schoolmasters, the sons of Shukracharya, they said, all right, we'll take him back to school. So all the students were so happy that he went back to school. They celebrated. And again, oh my God, he's up to his old tricks. He's giving more instruction to the students. And he had them chanting, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So that was the last straw. Everyone was upset. All the parents of the children, the teachers. So they all brought Prahlad to his father Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu, you see everyone on the lower right, they're all upset about this. So they brought him to Hiranyakashipu, and Hiranyakashipu said, all right, this is your last chance. What is this? Where do you get this power from? What's going on? Finally, it became clear to him that it wasn't just somehow or other this boy got contaminated on the way to school. Somebody whispered something into his ear. Somehow something was going on with this Prahlad. He had some power, something was there. So he said, where is this coming from? What's this power that you have? And he said, it's from Vishnu. Oh, that enraged Hiranyakashipu because Vishnu was his mortal enemy. He hated Vishnu. Remember that Hiranyakashipu was actually, Hiranyakashipu and his brother, they were Jai and Vijay who had appeared into the world in order to actually play with Vishnu. They were going to play with him, but as enemies. So they appeared as demons. So it's natural that he felt this animosity toward Vishnu, but it was all a part of Vishnu's play. So still, the animosity was there. You could say it was 100% there, animosity. So he was so angry. He said to Prahlad, where does this come from? Where is your Vishnu? Vishnu is nothing. He's a magician. He's not even here. He doesn't hear you. How can you be a follower of Vishnu? He's nothing compared to me. So Prahlad says, yes, Vishnu, he's everywhere. So Hiranyakashipu said, yes, he's everywhere. So he looked around, he saw the pillar in the palace. He said, is your Vishnu in here? So Prahlad said, yes, he's everywhere. So when the devotee says something, the pure devotee says something, then the Supreme Lord, he makes that happen. Because it's not like in the modern age, we have this idea that if you desire something, it'll come true. I mean, there's plenty of people in Nigeria and Kenya who are desiring something, but it's not coming true. So it's not a materialistic desire. Devotees don't have materialistic desires. So when Prahlad said, yes, Nrsimha or Vishnu is everywhere, this was his sincere relationship with Vishnu. He understood that actually Vishnu is everywhere. And he had learned that from Narad in the womb. So when he said that Vishnu is everywhere. Yes, Vishnu is in this pillar. So Hiranyakashipu then struck the pillar and challenged. At the same time that he struck the pillar, it was a challenge. But one fraction of an inch before he struck the pillar, out came Lord Nrsimha. He manifested himself. Nrsimha or Narasimha. Nara means man and Singha means lion. So this Narasimha or Nrsimha, he emerged, and this Ananta are the snakes at the top. Ananta Dev is protecting, is on the head of Vishnu. So Nrsimha came out with these, and you see four arms with his sharp nails. And here's another picture that I commissioned, that then he came out, but then he decided to play with Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu is on the left. He's trying to fight with Nrsimha. But of course, this is useless. But Nrsimha is something like a cat and mouse. Sometimes the cat just likes to play with the mouse. He won't kill it right away. Some animal, he doesn't immediately kill his prey. So there was this fight going on between Hiranyakashipu and Nrsimha. For some time it was going on. And sometimes the devas, they get worried about this. The devas come in to see all the action. They're flying overhead. But finally, Lord Nrsimha finished him off. And with his nails, he put him on his lap. He put Hiranyakashipu on his lap and he tore apart his stomach, all of his entrails. He took all the entrails and he wrapped them around like a garland. So this was to satisfy this is that right? No. This was to satisfy all of the conditions. So this, as a snake captures a mouse, or Garuda captures a venomous snake, Lord Nrsimha captured Hiranyakashipu, who could not be pierced even by the thunderbolt of King Indra. As Hiranyakashipu moved his limbs here, there, and all around, very much afflicted at being captured, Lord Nrsimhadev placed the demon on his lap, supporting him with his thighs, and in the doorway of the assembly hall, the Lord very easily tore the demon to pieces with the nails of his hand. And the commentary, Prabhupada says, Hiranyakashipu had received the benediction that he would not die on the land or in the sky. Thus, Nrsimhadev placed Hiranyakashipu's body on his lap, which was neither land nor sky. He had the benediction that he would not die either during the day or at night. Thus the Lord killed him in the evening, neither day or night. He had the benediction that he would not die from any weapon or be killed by any person, dead or alive. Thus Nrsimhadev pierced Hiranyakashipu's body with his nails, which were not weapons and were neither living nor dead. So we'll move right along here. Then the demigods came and worshipped Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu was very angry. We're skipping ahead a little bit, but let's go back. Lord Vishnu, Nrsimha, was very angry. This was his fierce aspect. I'm going to go through this very briefly. Where do we have this? The Devas. So I'm just going to touch on this briefly. As soon as the universe became calm again, the gods all wanted to see Bhagavat. This is from a book that I wrote. So I'm using this kind of language, general language. So when Vishnu, appearing as Narasimha, stopped roaring, the principal gods collected their thoughts and approached him. So skipping ahead, everyone gave praise to Bhagavat Vishnu according to the perspective of the group or individual. They were relieved that Vishnu had restored them to their stations. Thus, in their giving thanks, they subtly displayed their self-interest. So starting with Brahma, he said, Bhagavan, Bhagavat, through the attributes of nature, you create the universe, and yet you remain aloof. I bow to you. So this is a Brahma's view of Vishnu as that of the ultimate creator. And then Shiva said, at the end of the era is the time for your anger. Now that this insignificant demon has been killed, considering you're naturally affectionate to your devotees, kindly protect this boy Prahlad. So again, Lord Shiva's context was destruction of the universe. So Indra said, you're the deliverer and protector of the gods. You've recovered this demon. From this demon are shares of the sacrifices, which of course are yours in truth. So this is Indra's perspective also. All the devas and all the upadevas, the semi-devas, the celestial sorcerers, the maintainers of dharma. So they were all pleased because the devas are also devotees of Krishna or Vishnu, but they have some tinge of self-interest. And that tinge of self-interest could be even their service. They're serving Vishnu by maintaining the universe, maintaining dharma, maintaining the system of sacrifice. So, like as Indra. So they came, but still he was not appeased. But when Prahlad appeared before Brahma, pushed Prahlad in front of Nrsimha and said, you pray to him. You give your prayers. So Prahlad approached and he said, his prayers are quite long, but in summary, he said, people often want to go to the celestial realms for a long lifespan, luxury and enjoyment. But I've seen all of these. They pale in comparison with service to you. And worldly power and strength is nothing. When my father was angry and he sneered at the gods, he destroyed them just by frowning. But even though he was that powerful, you defeated him in a moment. He said, dear Lord, I've experienced luxury, mystic power, and longevity, as well as the pleasures enjoyed by all beings from Brahma down to the ant. So you have to remember that Prahlad was the son of Hiranyakashipu, and they were living in the palace of Indra. Hiranyakashipu had all the things that one can have in the universes. He had mystic power and he had incredible longevity. So Prahlad was used to those things. So then he says to Lord Nrsimha, as time you destroy them all. So because of my experience, I don't want to possess them. Lord, please place me in contact with your pure devotees and let me serve them sincerely. So he was even so humble. He didn't say he wanted to serve the Lord directly. O Supreme Person, because of my worldly desires and being carried away by the common mentality. Of course, he didn't have the common mentality, but he was praying in this humble way. Like Lord Chaitanya prays that way also. Lord Chaitanya says, I'm caught up in this world, but I just want to be an atom at your lotus feet. Of course, Lord Chaitanya is not really caught up in this world. He's giving the example to everyone. He says, I was falling into a well full of snakes, but your servant Nara kindly accepted me as his disciple and instructed me how to achieve this position. Thus, my first duty is to serve him. How could I leave his service? So this is the prayer of Lord Nrsimha, and here's the deity of Lord Nrsimha. This is a deity of Nrsimha in India, in a place I used to visit, in a temple I used to visit a few times, 3-4 times I visited there in the morning for Mangalarti. After worshiping Radha and Krishna in the main temple, then we used to go and worship Lord Nrsimha, and here he is. Same. Is it the same? Yes. Well, here he's covered with sandalwood paste. So he looks a different color, but all this is covering with sandalwood. And they've decorated him for Nrsimha Chaturdashi. Chaturdashi means the 14th day. The month is divided into 2 parts. So this, again, he's covered in areas. Nrsimhadev. Jai Nrsimha. So that's my presentation.
Are you taking questions now?
Yes.
Okay, I have some questions. Why are there so many different forms of Lord Nrsimhadev? I think there's over 70 from what I've read, and I've read that I have something here saying that of these 74, 9 are very prominent. So you have Ugra, Vilamba, Kopa, Yoga, Lakshmi Nrsimha. So, what should be the different moods? Which one should we pray to? How should we pray to it? I mean, why? I mean, it's very complicated. So I don't know if you could elaborate.
I don't know these different forms, and sometimes devotees are interested in praying to the Lord for material things, that even for protection. It's Krishna's will if we be, whether or not we're protected, and really we shouldn't be so interested in this body. This is the thing that got us into trouble in the first place, this body. So being overly protective of this body and the bodies of our loved ones, our family and friends and community, this kind of attitude is what got us into trouble in the first place. So I don't know the details. I don't know the answer to your question, but I'm very impressed by these prayers of the demigods, because the demigods are devotees. They really are devotees. Prabhupada calls them sakama devotees, meaning that they're devotees, but they have some desire. And we have the opportunity in this world to become nishkama devotees. But not all of us are nishkama devotees, meaning not all of us are desireless. So really we want to get to that position. And we say that we shouldn't offer to the demigods, we should offer directly to Vishnu. We should serve directly Vishnu, Krishna. But that means that we want to come to this point of nishkama, of desirelessness. So as long as we desire, yes, the devotees pray to Lord Nrsimha. We pray every day. We say that we give this prayer. But if you notice that in the prayer that we chant in the temple, Tavakara Kamala Vare Nakam, these prayers are strictly in praise of Vishnu for having appeared in these different forms. There's no mention of, Vishnu, please take care of my body, please take care of my baby, please take care of my wife. So it's my understanding that we have to be a little careful. Now, I was watching Maharaj's talk earlier, Guru Prasad Swami's talk earlier, and he said that let's pray for our this guru who's has this this like horrible disease. But this kind of prayer, and when Prabhupada got ill also, we prayed. Prabhupada said that we could pray. But Prabhupada wasn't afraid of death. We're praying that these exalted personalities will stay with us a little longer so that we can take their association in Krishna consciousness. And we're praying to Lord Nrsimha to protect us in such a way that we can be free to do our devotional service. It's not just that we're worried about somebody attacking us from Russia or China and killing us. We're praying so that our service to Krishna will be protected, and our spiritual life will be protected, and the devotees, the pure devotees who are emblems of that service and who teach us about that service, we are praying to continue to have their association. So these aspects, I don't know so much. There are other devotees who are expert on Lord Nrsimha, and their deities. A long time ago, devotees established the deity of Lord Nrsimha in a forest in Germany. I've never been there, but it was I understand it was in a nice place. They turned into a temple. And there was one of my dear godbrothers who used to travel with the deity of Nrsimha, and he used to chant all these prayers to Lord Nrsimha also. But I never learned these prayers. We have the prayer that we sing in the temple, so that's optional. If you want to learn, that's fine. Anyway, that's my answer. You might get another answer from someone else.
Hare Krishna, Your Grace. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Prabhupada. Please forgive me. I had to break my fast. So while I was listening, I just took a little prasadam. I hope you don't mind.
I don't mind.
Okay. I know that's not protocol, but I've been fasting Nirjal whole day. So I just broke my fast.
Oh, Nirjal.
Yeah, so.
No, I'm not doing Nirjal.
No, I know it's not right to do.
1 second. If somebody doesn't know, Nirjal, Nir means without, and Jal means water. So some devotees, this is optional. Some devotees do, who are more advanced, they do Nirjal, but I don't do. I'm Jal.
Yeah, so my question to you is this. In this age, Lord Chaitanya comes, because he's the really most merciful form of the Lord. And he comes to give everything to the devotee, including protection and mercy and everything. So why do we turn to Lord Nrsimhadev for protection? Why do we say we have to pray to Lord Nrsimhadev when Lord Chaitanya is there?
Well, we like to glorify all of the avatars of Vishnu and Krishna. And Lord Chaitanya gave this example of enjoying the leelas of Krishna. This may not be a direct answer to your question, but Lord Chaitanya himself, one time when they were chanting Vishnu Sahasranam, there's 1,000 names of Vishnu. So someone was chanting the 1,000 names of Vishnu, and when they came to Nrsimha, Lord Chaitanya took the aspect of when they came to Nrsimha, Lord Chaitanya took this aspect of Lord Nrsimha, and he became Lord Nrsimha. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself enjoyed the leelas of both Vishnu and Krishna. So this is our life. And it's not just Nama. Nama is more important. But even Nama, as Lord Chaitanya gave us the instruction about Nama in the Shikshashtaka, these 8 verses about the Nama or the Sankirtan. But Leela also, Lord Chaitanya, he himself manifested different Leelas, and he displayed, he enjoyed, he went into ecstasy when there were different Leelas, when he was reminded of Leelas, when others would chant shlokas, or he would just remember something. He would imagine that he was on the bank of the Jamna, and so many different Leelas. The Rath-yatra is a Krishna Leela. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu loved Rath-yatra. So all of these Leelas, so we're not limited to Chaitanya or Krishna Leela. We have so many Leelas, and we can celebrate all these Leelas as well. And Prabhupada once wrote to my godbrother Aniruddha. Aniruddha and I were serving in Los Angeles in the very beginning of the temple there. So Prabhupada had visited the cathedral, the Christian cathedral in Montreal. He said that they have a grand celebration of the stations of Christ. Those who are Catholic, they know about now I've forgotten, 7 stations, is it? The different stations of Christ. And this is the worship of Christ at the end of his life when he was crucified. So Prabhupada said, well, we have something that's far more attractive than that. I mean, he was just objectively speaking that we have innumerable leelas, and we can do these leelas celebrations in innumerable cities. So he wanted us to celebrate these kind of leelas. So when we worship Nrsimhadev, we worship one of the leelas of Krishna, of Vishnu. And yes, we ask protection from Nrsimha. Why wouldn't we? So maybe we can also worship Varaha, Shukra Rupa, as Jayadev Goswami says, the boar incarnation. We'll pray to the boar incarnation for the salvation of the planet. However, we enjoy one of the leelas of Krishna. Of course, if we worship Varahadev for the salvation of the planet, maybe the environmentalists will think that we're asking for the trees to grow and the climate to clear up from the oil production. But what we really mean is we want Varahadev to save the planet, and everyone will become self-realized and become devotees of Krishna. That's our idea of salvation. Long answer, and perhaps not right on the mark, but.
Thank you. Appreciate that. We wanted to just get some clarification on that. I think that was helpful to know that, the Lord can manifest in so many different forms. That's his pleasure and his desire. And the Lord and the devotees like to reciprocate with the Lord in his different incarnations. So each person has their own rasa, like Murari Gupta loved the Lord, as Hanuman. So he just couldn't manage to move his heart from Lord Ram. And Lord Chaitanya said, yes, that's because you're Hanuman. So I can understand what you're saying. Thank you so much.
Yes, and Guru Prasad was mentioning that Murari Gupta just in his lecture an hour ago. Someone else?
Hare Krishna. I didn't have a specific question, but I had just a thought while you were presenting the story. When Hiranyakashipu goes and leaves his family to do austerity, I just thought it was so interesting that that's the moment when Narada Muni, when Krishna comes in, when he saves Prahlad Maharaj. And it's so different from us in the sense that if we're even inattentive for like 1 millisecond, Maya comes in and everything gets all like discombobulated. But I just thought that was really interesting.
So I think what you're saying is that if we become inattentive, then Maya comes in, but when Hiranyakashipu becomes inattentive, then Krishna comes in.
Yes, exactly.
That's good. I like that. And Prabhupada said something similar. He said that sometimes in a devotee family, there can be a demon. So the Kashyapa, he and his wife were devotees. They had many demigods as sons and daughters, and then with the other wife, demons. So if one is inattentive, yes, one can have a child that becomes not a devotee, at least. I don't like this word demon so much. I think I don't like it because we were all demons before we became devotees. So yes, and he said also amongst the demons that somebody can have a devotee child. So that's Prahlad, but that's also us. That among all these meat eaters and all these people, sometimes devotees, I read my godbrothers on the internet, I think a little crazy, frankly, but they say things like, oh, the demons are in charge. And I just think, well, what's new? This is a demonic society. Why? Because we're killing cows. We're not paying any attention to, many people are not even paying any attention to any kind of God, what to speak of Vishnu, who's the God of the mode of goodness, who's the God in charge of self-realization and who is Mukunda, who is in charge of those who understand that they're not these bodies. And what to speak of Krishna, who's the God of rasa, where it's the intimate pastime of the intimate relationship with the supreme, our soul's relationship, our soul's nature, very high thing. So going all the way back down to the average person in this world who's really an asura, who's not a demigod, who's not a deva, who's not a devotee.
I got a question. This is Sarah. So people who do not know about Krishna are demons? Are considered demons? Or am I confused?
It's not as simplistic as that. Just like if people are mixed. Prabhupada told us to look for 4 kinds of people. There are the supreme person, 4 persons. There's the supreme person. There's the devotees. There are the innocent people, and there are the demons. Then in the Bhagavad Gita, it talks a lot about who is a demon and who is a devotee. So demon, I don't like this word demon, but essentially a person who is an undesirable person, let's say, has the qualities of ignorance and passion. So if you read the Bhagavad Gita, you'll see what those qualities are. Now, ignorance, when we talk about ignorance and the qualities of ignorance, it seems like kind of like a bad thing. It's darkness. Ignorance is synonymous with darkness. But we also learn that it's ignorant to be identified with this body and mind, because we're soul, we're spirit, and we have a relationship with the Supreme. So then we find that everyone in the entire universe has this tinge of ignorance. So everyone has a little tinge of ignorance. So in a sense, everyone is a little removed from Vishnu. It's not that it's such a clear demarcation from devotee and demon. But for the sake of pastime with Krishna, we see these interactions, and we like to see these conflicts. It's a matter of enjoying the Leelas. It's not a matter of condemning other people that, oh, you're not a devotee of Krishna, or it's also not a matter of being arrogant that I'm a devotee of Vishnu and you're not a devotee of Vishnu. It's not that, that's not the understanding. That's not the way we understand things.
Okay, thank you very much, Lord Prabhupada. Or sorry, I've got a migraine. I'll shut up now.
Anyone else? Kurt, are you still on?
Oh, it looks like Harita or Kurt. I'll let them go.
No, I'm on. I just found out my guru is also on, so I've got 2 classes going at once. So
Good. One for each year.
there we go. So very nice class, Prabhu.
Harita Mataji, did you have a question that you'd like to ask or anything you'd like to add?
No, Prabhu, I don't have any question. Yeah.
I wanted to share something. It was on a trip that I went when I went to Mayapur last year. Let me share my screen here. There's a temple called Narasimhadeva. I'm sure you know about this temple, Dayananda Prabhu. And there's a deity of Lord Narasimhadeva that's over 1 million years old, apparently. And it's a self-manifested deity. So there's different islands in Navadvip. There's 9 different islands. This is one of the islands. And apparently, this is the place where Lord Narasimhadeva washed his nails after killing the great demon, Hiranyakashipu. So you can actually go, and the waters are considered completely sanctified and pure. So that's where he rinsed his nails. And then he took a little lay down there. He kind of relaxed and chilled out for a little bit. And the demigods came and they were kind of worshiping him. And then after some time, he just manifested into this deity and kind of wrapped up his Leela. So when I went, it was just amazing. Right when I went, they were offering some coconuts and different items, garlands like you see here. And I just wanted to share that. It was a very powerful place. So hopefully one day everyone here can go to Mayapur and see this deity, as well as the deity that we have in our own headquarters in Mayapur, which is Lord Narasimhadeva, along with the big Panchatattva deities of Lord Chaitanya. I guess maybe you can pull a picture up of that deity. Just very merciful form of Lord Narasimhadeva as well. So just wanted to share that. I mean, there's these places that are very historic. It's not a Hindu mythology. I think this is like a huge culture shock when we speak about Lord Narasimhadeva, or when we speak about Kurma, or we speak about Matsya Avatar, Krishna taking the form of a boar, God coming as a form of a boar. I mean, it's very, very mind altering, and it takes some time to get used to if you're not brought up with it. So it can come off as some myth, but it's very much historical in these parts that it's native to their culture. So just wanted to share that point and that aspect, because it's just so far out to think that God can take the form of half man, half lion. And from what I understand too, I'm not a super scholar or anything, there are other cultures that show different forms or interpretations rather of Lord Nrsimhadev. You know, I don't know if it's Greek culture or whatever, but I've seen different artifacts depicting a half man and half lion as this godly, otherworldly figure. So, you know, it takes some adjusting to get to, but it's very, very much real and it's personal, which is something that you were talking about earlier. So I think Sri Devi Mataji said something about reciprocation. So Krishna reciprocates according to our desire. And I guess, you know, some people maybe are more attracted to this form of the Lord, and some Lord Chaitanya, and some this other form of Lord Ram or Lord Jagannath, but it's very much real. And we shouldn't just take it as some mythology, because that can easily be done coming from the West.
Mm. I was looking for a verse. Also, early in the Bhagavatam, it says that, yes, we should go to these places. These are wonderful places. And absolutely, we should understand these Leelas as the play of Vishnu and Krishna. You're absolutely correct that we shouldn't minimize these, because the Leela is like the name of Vishnu. We are chanting the name 2 hours a day. We're spending a lot of focus and time. The Sankirtan movement is to spread this name, but it's also Leela, that the names also indicate Leelas. Krishna means all attractive. Radha is his consort. So when we chant Hare Krishna, that's Radha Krishna. Engage me in your service. Then we chant Vibhavari Shesha Aloka Pravesha. That's a wonderful prayer about Mukunda Madhava. Many names for Krishna. These are different Leelas. All these names indicate Leelas. Keli Parayana means that Krishna plays. He plays. His Keli means to play. So many Leelas of Vishnu and Krishna. We shouldn't minimize. Yes, we shouldn't think that these are mythology or misunderstand. Just like when Christ is nailed to the cross, we don't think that's mythology. The devotees of the Christians and the Jews, if a burning bush came and gave Moses the 10 Commandments, why not? Why not accept that? These 10 Commandments are wonderful instructions. They're principles. So if the burning bush came to deliver them, why not? Why challenge that? Because this is something wonderful that happened. So all these Leelas that we have, this is something wonderful, and we should understand why they are so wonderful. And this is for our enjoyment. We crave enjoyment. So if we can connect our enjoyment with Krishna, with Krishna's enjoyment, he enjoys coming as Krishna and having all his Leelas with the gopis. And he enjoys coming as Nrsimha and fighting with Hiranyakashipu. So Nrsimha likes it, and Lord Chaitanya is, Hiranyakashipu is also benefited by this fighting. So we have to understand this kind of enjoyment, and how our enjoyment, our understanding of enjoyment in this world is perverted, and it's not the real enjoyment. But enjoying Nama and Leela are the real enjoyment. And there's another point I wanted to make regarding going to these different tirthas and being amazed by the tirthas. Yes, if Lord Nrsimha washed his nails And the Ganges comes from the celestial realm after having touched the foot of Vishnu. So bathing in the Ganges is bathing in the water that touched the foot of Vishnu. But in the Bhagavatam, we learn that that devotees are tirthas, that the pure devotee of Krishna is a tirtha. So to be attentive to the devotee is even more important than visiting the tirthas. So this is an important point for the followers of Bhagavata. Yes.
Prabhu, I have one question. It's not related to what we are talking about, like the appearance of Lord Narasimha. Normally, I have heard various classes. So the evolution, it has happened like where all the different species, like 84 lakhs or so. I'm not sure about the number, but all these species were created by God. But they did not ever evolve from one species to another, right, Prabhu? Like he has created all these 84 lakh species. But when we come to the Darwin's theory, where he says that from a small atom, like where the oxygen, hydrogen, and everything mixed up, and then some small creature has been created, and from there, from millions of years, then again a transformation happened, then a little bit more bigger creature. So this is being explained. So when our kids grow up and what they read Bhagavatam and then come to their sciences, so how we can explain them?
There is a Bhagavata perspective that, yes, that's quite elaborate. How the Mahatattva is first, just let me touch very briefly on the Bhagavata explanation and the evolution, and then how to combine these two, or possible way how to combine these two. The Bhagavata describes also a kind of evolution. The first Brahma is born from the lotus that grows from Lord Vishnu, and Brahma generates everything from Mahatattva. And there are many descriptions about how this is generated it's a little difficult to understand. It's quite a mystery. And one can study all these things and still you may not understand perfectly. Excuse me. And from the Mahatattva, things are generated and very sort of human oriented, like the senses and the mind and these subtle aspects, the false ego, these things are also generated from Mahatattva. So there's a kind of focus on consciousness, and this false identification with the world is very important. Whereas now let me switch to the other kind of evolution. This scientific perspective, or the modern perspective, really, since Darwin, it's only about 150 years old, something like that. This perspective of evolution it's very materialistically oriented. It views the fundamental elements as molecules and parts of atoms, and as they combine into chemicals, and different kinds of physics gets involved, chemistry gets involved. So and then developing into life forms, and then how life forms appear to evolve, as you say, and then whether you accept that there's however it goes. I'm not so familiar with this sort of periodic, there's some difference of opinion among evolutionists how species evolve, and whether it's a kind of a jump or a smooth transition or whatever. And so this is a materialistic perspective. There's no interest in consciousness, and there's no interest in soul. Whereas in the other kind of evolution, there's really a central focus on consciousness and soul, and how does that emerge? So in the modern evolution, there's no discussion of that really, and sometimes psychologists or other people try to understand consciousness, but really it's something that's pretty much ignored and not understood at all by physicists or biologists. So how to amalgamate the two perspectives? Some devotees they try to push the Puranic vision or the vision of the Bhagavatam. But with children or maybe with common people, there is a friend of mine who unfortunately passed away, a very famous devotee. He used to be famous, Sariputta, and he wrote many books on science and within the Bhagavatam, and science in the materialistic sense. So one idea he once told me, I really like that idea, is that he said that scientists have their perspective. There is another perspective also. The yogis have another perspective, and again, another is written in the Indian literature called the Siddhantas. The Siddhantas talk mostly about cosmology, but there may be sort of creation theory as well. So there are these different perspectives on the universe and on creation, and we have one in the Puranas. We're very attached to Puranas, especially Bhagavata Purana. And as I said before, the Bhagavata Purana, it reveals all these leelas, these Vishnu leelas and Krishna leelas. And really, this is the life of a devotee. So if there is discussion in the Bhagavata Purana of how things are organized in the universe or how they're created, this is our first choice. This is our first choice understanding. However, if we're in a society where scientists have a certain perspective, and that's the dominant perspective that's taught in the schools, we also have no problem accepting that's their perspective. It tends to be a materialistic perspective. But just like if you're a Democrat and I'm a Republican, I have my perspective and you have your perspective. Now, you may base your perspective on science and statistics. You say, well, there's science that says that there's global warming. I say, no, I have scientific proof that there's no global warming. And I think things should go this way. You think things should go that way. And people in the world, they're trying to support their opinions in different ways. So 150 years ago, how many years have scientists or people of knowledge been talking about cosmology and creation? Thousands of years. So all of a sudden, 150 years ago, people know everything. They all of a sudden have this opinion and a bunch of really intelligent people get together and now they know everything. Well, those same intelligent people have developed sciences and that have evolved into technologies that are ruining the world. So, all glories to your intelligence. But this is the world that we live in. They have that perspective. We can honor that perspective. They're intelligent people. They have the right to their perspective. We have to honor them because they're the ones who are in charge of these different branches of knowledge. But we do have our own branch of knowledge that is a science. Prabhupada keeps emphasizing that it's a science. It's a little different kind of science, but it's nevertheless, that's another discussion for another day, but it nevertheless is a science, and that's our first choice understanding. Is that okay?
Yeah, yes, Prabhu. Yes. Thank you.
Whoa. Oh, Hare Krishna. Could everybody hear me?
Yes.
I'm using a different device, so I'm not as familiar with the controls. So I really like the point that you made about the tirthas, Dayananda Prabhu. You know, where you were saying you were referring to the Bhagavatam, where it says that devotees are tirthas, because this is something that Prabhupada, you know, really emphasized. He said that the reason that the holy places are holy places is not because of the physical attributes or anything of that nature. It's because the sadhus would come there and essentially hold their discussions there, and it's the presence of the sadhus continually that keeps the tirthas purified, and that's where the potency of the tirthas come from, is from the pure devotees. And so in a sense, I mean, it follows logically, again, you know, logic, science, whatever, but it follows logically that if we are reading Prabhupada's books or having a discussion about, you know, these topics, that we're in a sense, we're associating with those advanced devotees, because this is their subject matter. This is their, is that correct? Is that kind of in line with, yeah?
Yes, absolutely.
And also, a devotee who has also spoken in San Antonio a couple of times, Donna Kelly Mataji, she said one time about this whole issue of you know, conventional science versus Puranic science and so forth. You know, a big controversy even among devotees, right, is the moon landing. You know, she had the best response to that I've ever heard, and I actually use this in, you know, in several areas of my life. She said, "I don't know, I wasn't there." You know, which actually, you know, that's reminiscent of a passage from the Quran, actually. You know, because in the Quran, God is telling the Prophet Muhammad that Jesus is of a virgin birth, and he says, "What, really?" And he said, "Muhammad, you weren't there." You say, you know, but that's Donna Kelly's Mataji's approach. And she's like, "Well, I wasn't there," you know, so, but that's kind of the perfect middle ground if you think about it, right? Well, you know, I don't know, you know, so, but
Regarding that moon landing, some devotees are really adamant, but later on in Prabhupada's lectures and discussions, he said, all right, so they've landed on the moon, but still, you know, birth, death, disease, and old age. It's not, you know, he was, you know, conciliatory. It was just at first, our attachment is to the Bhagavatam version. That's really our attachment. So if somebody lands on the moon, or if somebody invents life or something like that, then it's possible. I mean, some yogis have been able to generate life, but it's not as though somebody is Vishnu and creates everything. There are many wonderful things that people or yogis or higher beings can do, but they don't, it's not godlike. It's not really God. And to go to the moon is really not wonderful. Everyone has to come back. Everyone dies. It's the same story. So,
and as you were pointing out earlier, it's a tremendous cost and resources, and what to speak, all those things, like you're saying, destroying the earth, destroying the resources. I also like the point that the question that Sarah asked about, demoniac nature, because it's really that's really about behavior, right? Because basically, the Vedic position, as I understand it, is it's based on behavior. So every person we're all capable of demoniac behavior and also deva behavior. It's a matter of that's why, for initiation, for example, the phraseology is qualify oneself. You have to qualify yourself to get into the mode of goodness, so that you're essentially eligible, and that's and so going into that deva realm of behavior is getting into the mode of goodness. But I've always been fascinated by that, how Prabhupada kind of lays that out. Because I do. I mean, the most dastardly individuals I can think of that I've encountered in my life or heard about in my life, you can chart them, on the mode of ignorance and mode of passion. You can kind of put them on that continuum, and as well as myself, I can see aspects of myself. Oh, well, here I'm leaning towards passion. Here I'm leaning towards ignorance. Okay, maybe a little bit I'm leaning towards the mode of goodness over here. But it's very functional, I guess.
yeah, I don't really like so much to identify the modes. I think that I like the sort of general understanding that the mode of ignorance, the fundamental ignorant quality, is identification with this body and with this material world. So that's like the whole point of life is to become self-realized. I mean, that province is over and over and over, to become self-realized. We don't agree with Mayavadi philosophy, or we don't agree with this one or that one, or we say that, we have a nicer perspective than the Christians or the Muslims or something. But all these people are looking for self-realization. They're trying to grasp at something higher, and getting onto yoga or to impersonalist. That's to go for self-realization. That's the goal. And then above that is service to Krishna. So too much interest in the modes, this person, ignorance or passion. I mean, I feel that I'm not an expert, and I question who is really an expert to determine, oh, I hear devotees say that, oh, this person is really in the mode of goodness. I kind of question that, why. I met this woman once, or not met her. I mean, she was a regular attendee of our programs, and she was initiated. Wonderful woman. She's Hawaiian. And she always used to tell the story how she really hated the devotees. For some reason, they caused, in Hawaii, they caused her all this anger, and she would see them and kind of yell at them or something, and then she became a devotee. She just turned, somehow or other. Maybe it was just hanging around and hearing the holy name. Who knows what it was, but she started out her relationship with devotees with this anger. So sometimes these things are a little mysterious, and to get too, in my opinion, to get too
yeah, it's very much like in Protestant Christianity. You'll hear these discussions about so and so is not really a Christian, right? I mean, people will spend hours and hours talking about who's a Christian and who isn't, rather than, so it's basically the same kind of thing.
Yeah, and I read once, I'm not an expert on Christianity, but I read once there was some place that Christ said, he was for me, is not against me, or what. Somebody who knows the Bible, I'm sure, can say that. It's it sounded very favorable. In other words, it's like whoever's willing to accept me is not my enemy, you know. So yeah, somebody may not be practicing, or somebody may be an impersonalist. Sometimes we're very opposed to this impersonalist doctrine, not sometimes, but often. And yet at the same time, Shankaracharya composed prayers to Krishna, and he was born. A lot of people say that he was born into a Vaishnava family, and many Indians throughout India consider him to be a Vaishnava. We don't like him as a Vaishnava because of his impersonal, doctrine, but we don't consider him, his lineage, a Vaishnava lineage. But Prabhupada on a few occasions said, well, anyway, they're for self-realization. I mean, their understanding that we're not the body, and they're focused on that. It's something very close to our Krishna consciousness.
Ultimately, at this point in my life, I'm just going to chant Hare Krishna. That's where I am. Because I tend to be I tend to have a very speculative, that's kind of my nature. I'm very skeptical. I'm very speculative. I'm very paranoid by nature and all this kind of stuff. But ultimately, I think the determination just to chant, I think is what I have to go with. And
Yeah. Well, it seems like we've gone quite a long time over time. I don't know if we should chant now. A lot of people have dropped out, so I guess let's end there. Is that okay, Bhagavan Narada?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Okay, so Hare Krishna, thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Hare Krishna.